Okay, I'm back. Um, I've often told this story, and I may have told it the last few weeks in one of my videos. Of course, when I met my wife, I was driving my 64 Chevy wagon. First thing out of my mouth, car, 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 car. I was made in a 34 Chevy coupe. I mean, that's pretty much what Dad said all his life. Mom, she never would talk too much about that. But knowing my dad, yeah, he had a 34 Chevy coupe with a built 261 Jimmy in it that actually A.J. Ford's family had a machine shop in Houston. They did all the machine work for Dad. In fact, he helped somebody stripe one of A.J. Ford's cars in the early 60s. I think it was Milburn. Anyway, I was conceived in that car. And of course, that was the car of choice during Mom's pregnancy. And I mean, this thing, my understanding was loud. It had twin cutouts coming out the driver's side fender, under the fender. It was pretty crazy. Had a big cam in it and stuff. Anyway, he drag raced it down in Houston. Of course, it was a street driver too, street car. So when Mom was due to have me, which was January 25th, 26th, the doctor told her, go walk around, go walk, go somewhere and walk, go walk on the street. And so it was a weekend, like I said, January 26th, cold. There was a car show, and I remember going to this car show when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I think it was downtown Houston, and I think it was Freeman Coliseum or something. So they go, and of course about, I think 10 or 11, somewhere around there, maybe 9, I don't know when it was. Nah, it was earlier than that, because I don't think those car shows stayed open that late. She started feeling pains, and so Dad and her, Dad took her to the St. Joseph Hospital, which is a few blocks away, and of course it was false alarm. He said, just go back home. He said, you're going to have your boy. They didn't know what I was back then. Tomorrow. So they go back home, and about, I think she told me it was around 2 o'clock in the morning. She goes into labor. It's about 10 miles away. He runs down to Houston. And she said, the funny thing was, she said, wouldn't you know, your dang dad gets in a drag race with a Corvette 2 blocks from the hospital. So, man, I was just born into it. I was conceived in it and born into it. So it just it's in my DNA, man. So here's a little something. Now, bear with me here. I haven't edited this part. I didn't edit this part. It was a chilly winter evening. The young couple who was driving through the city to the Coliseum located downtown Houston. This was a ritual that seemed to never end for the soon-to-be mother of her first child. Her husband, a large man of 6'4", was the cause of her anguish among the night lights of this crazy city. As they pulled into the parking lot, the hot rod began to rumble with a low, gravelly tone, often identified with a souped-up motor. As he, my dad, helped his wife exit the car, they slowly walked to the entrance of the building. Now, I'm making a lot of this up. Mom told me some of this stuff, but it's not made up. It's real stuff that happened. I mean, like souped-up motor and all that. Yeah. Once inside, the rush of warm air was a relief from the cold, damp wind outside. The woman was feeling some pain. She was into her 8th month, shy of the 9th, ready to give birth. It's been a long pregnancy with them, moving to 3 different states, and finally coming back home to Houston so her husband could finally find steady work. Dad, we traveled, and he was wrestling and pinstriping and whatever. His career as a wrestler didn't pay well, so he decided to remain in this town and settle down like most married couples should do when a new baby is on the way. But that's not how this story ends. So they peruse each aisle of custom cars and hot rods. Her husband knows many people, as he is a hot rodder with many skills that are needed from his friends and does work for the local car guys. He brought her to the show thinking walking would do her some good, since the due date was the next day, which is January 27th, 1957. The doc said to walk, not sit, so he took advantage of that to bring her to the car show. Dad was a little devious, though. As they perused the vehicles, she felt kicks and pains from me, soon to be her newborn. Husband was talking cars with his buddies, pretty much ignoring her growing agony. She walks the aisles, knowing the pain is coming more often, but tries to ignore the signs. And that was my mom. She was stubborn. Coming around the corner next to a restroom, she quickly enters as if nothing was going on deep inside her body. Her pain and contractions were getting stronger. She rushed out to find her husband. He's nowhere around. So she walks around. There he is, leaning against the wall, cigar in mouth, with his usual personality, big smile and crazy car talk. As she approached, he could see she was about to go down. He and his pals rushed her aside, and he immediately knew this was it. Man, I was ready to come out. As they walked outside, Dad and his friend, I think that was Uncle Roger, we called him Uncle Roger, holding her up, she told him her pains had subsided a bit and just to go home. He mentioned that the hospital was just up the road, but she had already told you that. They went there, and he said, no, go ahead. Okay, so they go back home. Midnight hour approached. She could feel the unborn child. Yeah, that's me. I'm ready to go. Beginning to awaken this quiet night. She wakes Dad up and says, it's time to go. Now! He runs out to his car, cranks it up to warm the heater. I bet he didn't even have a heater in that thing. Runs back into the house and gets suitcase and a wife. They're about 7 miles from the hospital, which slowed him downtown. As he drives, he could tell she was getting restless, while hoping he gets to the hospital in time. He floors the souped-up inline 6. It pops up and hunkers down the road. Speedometer says 87 miles an hour. Now, Mom did tell me that. She said, I think he was going 100. But he knows she has more to give. As he hits it off the ramp towards the hospital, he stops at a red light. Time was about 2 a.m., which that's true. As he sits, letting the engine throb, and looks over his wife, asking if she's okay, and yes, she replies. Then he sees a brand new Corvette pull up to his left. This is only a couple of blocks from the hospital, but knowing this guy, Dad, he'll never miss a chance to race another fast car. And then he hears the driver of the Vet rev his engine. So let's see, that's 57. So I guess if it was brand new, Mom said it looked like it was brand new, so it would be what, a 283. Anyway, go time. The light hits green and they're off, tires churning and smoking rushing through the exhaust. As they near the next light, the red Vet has an edge, but Dad keeps his foot on the throttle. He knows the hospital is the next block, so he speeds on up, passing the sports car. Head hangs out the window. He thumbs his nose at the guy who looks beaten as my dad's cool blue hot rod races towards the hospital. Now, Mom did say this. She sat there just staring at him. She said, I was about ready to cuss him out. I'm just quoting. So she sits there just staring at him, not happy at all, but she knew well how this crazy guy passed up no opportunity to be the hot rodder he was born to be. She knew what he was getting into when they met. He was always into fast, loud cars, bikes, and living wild. At this size, he was intimidating to most people. Hair down to his shoulders. I think then his hair was right at his shoulders, and eventually grew down to like his shoulder blades. He had an earring in his left ear, I think. Yeah, I think back then it was like one of those pirate earrings, and some tattoos. Had 20-inch arms, and they showed off his size and attitude pretty well. His wife knew the life she would be living, married to this crazy man, but she didn't know what was in store when reality hit. My I'm trying to quote myself. She was a beautiful woman of 19. He was crude, yet Dad was a very handsome man. That's why he got in trouble. He was a very good-looking man. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. This sort of rebellious guy most women and girls wanted. So Mom got here, but she got his, and despite his faults, she put up with his imperfections. Of course, that ended about 12, 14 years in their marriage. So he pulls up to the ER. I don't think he had an ER back then. To the front door, jumps out of the car, rushing around to her door. A nurse comes running out to help. They get into the room, and things go well for the next few hours. Then around 6 a.m., a 6.7 pound boy was born into this world. I don't know if I said vroom vroom or anything like that whenever I came out. Mom did tell me this too. The doc didn't even have to smack him to get oxygen as he took it in on his own. I guess that's good. He looked average size, alert, and healthy. Little did anyone know this child would become a human with extraordinary talents in the automotive universe. The parents were ecstatic that their child had finally arrived, and the dad couldn't have been more proud. Mom was tired, so the docs got her prepped for the recovery room. Okay, so I've got about 9 minutes here. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Like I said, a lot of this is, the purpose of this book was to be like a fable. I mean, it's a true story about a young man finding his way in life, through life, with cars. I mean, everyone has something that they do to help them live their life, help them get to the next day and get through the next week and the next month. Well, cars, as frustrating as they can be and as expensive as they can be, it's just everything that I do, man. I mean, I remember years ago, okay, getting back to when me and my wife first met and went on our first date. It was bowling. I had a 64 Chevy Impala wagon. It might have been well, it had power windows, power seats, air. I think it may even had tilt. I'm not sure. So anyway, Mom gave me that car. I remember they paid $450 for it, and I was pretty much walking when I left home, living in Houston. She gave me that car. So I went and picked up my future fiance, and riding that car, the first thing out of my mouth is cars. Talking about the cars Dad had. I think between Dad, Danny, and Johnny, they had 10 or 15 Mustangs. They were Mustang nuts. I had a couple of cars up there. Years later, she said she thought we were rich, which we weren't. So that first car, 64 Impala, was about 300 and something cars ago. But my wife, she has put up with a lot, and she knows that I've lived a storied life, because the first few years of our marriage were very, very rough. I mean, we didn't always have transportation. We had to walk a lot. When we moved down to Victoria, I traded that 64 for a real GTO. This thing had a 4-speed in it, and it would just go, go, go. And like a dumb kid, I didn't check anything. I just traded it. It was in black primer. And I don't think it had Craig. I think it had some original Pontiac wheels on it. It sat kind of high. Man, I was proud of that car. And I never checked anything. And I didn't check the oil, didn't check the water. And I remember I was heading up to Dad. I had to show it my dad. He was about 45 minutes away. Thing burned up, and guess what? I just left it. So we were on foot for about 3 months. But cars have caused me a lot of pain. If any of you had kids, you know what I'm talking about. I promised to buy my kids a car when he turned 16, but all of them had cars before they were, I bought them cars before that. But, my kids were influenced by cars, and, all of them like cars, but they don't have anything like this. So I'm getting off topic here. So the book's purpose is to follow this young man as he goes through life and into young adulthood, and he builds custom coach-built cars for the wealthy. And the things that he does on the way, the experiences with people, experiences with learning how to handle money, learning to go hungry, and to do without and suffer for his artisan skill. That's what it's about finding your passion, something that you will do even for nothing. And no matter what happens, that's what, and of course most people that started out that way end up very wealthy because they stuck with what they believed in and their passion. A lot of times it doesn't work out, but sometimes it does. So that's what this book is about. I've often called myself the preacher of cars because my wife, one time she said, you're just like a goddamn preacher. All you do is preach about cars, talk about cars. And she's right. Like I said, I can draw all those little designs, and that's fun. That is enjoyable because it kind of takes my mind off of everything else. But although while I'm doing it, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of business and some of this other business stuff that I've got going. When will it ever work? But the car thing, whether it's been horrible, fun, expensive, made me go broke, not necessarily the cars, but just being so passionate and emotional, my emotion with them. But one thing I'm going to say is the funny thing about cars is we love them, but we can have a car for 6 months or a year, and next thing you know, before I say this word, I have many words of what they call word blends. Like you take something and you blend it. You've seen it on TV and everything. All my words begin with car. So a lot of people, they will buy their dream car. That's my dream car. I bought me a brand new Camaro. A year later, it's gone. And what do? What does the car owner do? he goes out here and he commits car adultery with another car. So I know that's kind of crazy, corny, but I was working on what do I call it, car dictionary. Anyway, something automotive dictionary with, you know, every word begins with car, and there's a lot of them that I have I think I'm about on F's. Anyway, so that is Sunday Carvangelizing, and Monday I will be talking about the meeting today with SEMA members and the future of hot rods and custom cars. Now, they didn't cover newer cars, they just mostly covered the hot rods, which, you know, we're all passionate about. So hopefully, yeah, I'll probably be posting that Monday evening. And that's it for now. So next Sunday, I'll probably start reading some more, continue on with my book here, and a few tidbits that will frustrate you. So until Monday, I will see you later.